Hello, my name is Stephanie. I live in California on the west coast of the United States. My name is Stephanie. I live in California on the west coast of the United States. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about myself. I am a widow. I was married 33 years. I have no children. I have one brother and one sister. I have several nieces and nephews, and I have many friends and other family members. I am a widow. I have no children. I have one brother and one sister. I have several nieces and nephews, and other family and friends. Next slide will show you some things that I like to do that are fun, that I like to do with my family and friends. I like to ride my bike, also referred to as a bicycle. I like to attend church. I like to spend time with my friends and family. I like to walk on the beach. One other thing I like to do is called exploration, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what that is in the next slides. Exploration. Explore means to travel to a place unknown in order to learn about it. Exploration means the act of exploring. Exploration may include activities such as exploring underwater caves in Mexico, going to outer space, or visiting the ancient pyramids of Egypt. Exploration can also include discovering new ideas in science, medicine, technology, or anything else that's new to you or others. I like to explore. Some of the things that I like to explore I find during travel, either in my state where I live or some other place within the United States. And I also like to travel outside of the United States when I can. Last year, I went to Ukraine, which was great, and I loved Kiev very much. I have done some exploration in California, in other states within the United States, and in Ukraine. My explorations have been fun, but very safe. I take an airplane, I take a bus, I drive in a car, I stay in a hotel. There are people in history, though, who have done great exploration, much more risky than anything I've ever done. One in particular that I find interesting is the story of Ernest Shackleton, one of the explorers who went to the South Pole. Ernest Shackleton was born February 15, 1874, in Kilkea, Ireland. Ernest Shackleton made his voyage to the South Pole in a ship or a vessel called the Endurance. Endurance is a very important word if you're going to be an explorer, someone who does exploration. Endure means to suffer and keep going, similar to running a marathon or performing any very difficult task. It is appropriate that Endurance was the name of Ernest Shackleton's ship. Ernest Shackleton's trip or exploration of the South Pole was very, very dangerous, and he needed a crew to manage his ship. He placed an ad in the newspaper, and the ad said that he wanted men for a hazardous journey. They would be paid very little money. They would work very, very long hours in complete darkness. They may not return alive, but if they made it, back alive, there'd be a big celebration and they had lots of honor. Would you do that? These brave men did. The newspaper article included words such as crew, the men on the ship, brave, not afraid, dangerous, a task that can harm you, darkness, no light, celebration, party. Ernest Shackleton and his crew left the United Kingdom, sailed to Argentina, and then on to the South Georgia island of Antarctica. Ernest Shackleton and his crew sailed their ship from the United Kingdom or England to Buenos Aires in Argentina to South Georgia island, Antarctica. I'm reading this story from the book The Explorers by the Smithsonian. It says, the Endurance crew sailed from England on August 8, 1914. They reached South Georgia on October 26th. The crew heard that there were whalers in the area, and they were told that there was a lot of ice in the region. So Ernest Shackleton delayed his trip from South Georgia by 1 month. They left on December 5th, and headed towards Antarctica. They encountered pack ice, but they were able to make their way through that ice for 6 days, and then they got stuck. The crew left England on August 8, 1914. They arrived October 26th. They stayed 1 month due to ice pack. Then they departed on December 5th. 6 days later, they got stuck in the ice. This is a photo of the Endurance stuck in the ice. See how high the ice is? Can you imagine being stuck there? How frightened those men must have been. Can you imagine that? Would you have been afraid? This photo is a close-up of the Endurance stuck in the ice. This photo shows the men trying desperately to escape from the ice. See how small they are compared to the size of the ship and all of the ice around them. Shackleton and his crew, stuck in the ice, had to wait until the ice began to melt when summer came. Unfortunately, when the ice melted, they saw that the ship's hull had a giant hole in it, and the ship was going to sink. It sank in November of that next year. The ice melted. Now you see it, now you don't. There was a hole in the hull of the ship, the Endurance. The Endurance sinks. When the pack ice opened up, Shackleton and his crew left in 3 small rowboats to a nearby island. Then he and 5 men rowed the boats 1,280 kilometers to South Georgia Island. The boat was only 6.9 meters long. They sailed through complete darkness for 13 hours per day. They ran out of water. When they landed in South Georgia Island, Shackleton and only one of his men walked another 35 kilometers across glaciers and ice-covered mountains to obtain help from a whaling station. They walked 36 hours non-stop. From there, they were able to rescue the men in South Georgia Island as well as the other island, and they all returned home safely to England. Men rowing, row, Boat. The men walked over mountains and glaciers. The men walked to a whaling station for help. This is a photo of Shackleton's men as they leave the ice to head to South Georgia Island. This is a picture showing you the trip of Ernest Shackleton's crew. They arrived in South Georgia on number 1. They entered pack ice on number 2. On number 3, the Endurance ship is trapped in the ice or stuck in the ice. Number 4, the Endurance is crushed. The ship is abandoned. Number 5, the Endurance sinks. Number 6, they get into their boats to sail to Elephant Island. 7, they journey in those small rowboats back to South Georgia Island. Number 8, they arrive at the whaling station, and from there they are able to rescue their men. I hope you have enjoyed this story about Ernest Shackleton and his crew in their ship, the Endurance, as they pursued their dream of exploring Antarctica. On this trip, they actually didn't make it to the South Pole, but they almost got there. After returning to England, Shackleton and other men returned again to pursue the South Pole. Unfortunately, Ernest Shackleton died of a heart attack on that trip. It was a sad ending to a very long and exciting story. Where will you like to explore? There's many places to explore. What would you like to explore? Ernest Shackleton later returned to Antarctica. Unfortunately, he did not reach the South Pole. He died of a heart attack. But he and his brave crew's exploration helped other men reach that goal. Shackleton and his men endured much. They, like their ship, had endurance. What would you like to explore? New ideas in medicine? New ideas in science? Your city or a nearby city? Or maybe one day a new planet?